All right, everyone. I'm here with our modern day prophet. Justin has called it. There's been some news in the political stratosphere as of late. We wanted to get on this as soon as we could because we want to stay with the relevancy of this. But anyway, the rhetoric about the Americans and the annexing of Canada, that has stepped up a notch. And we had a guest on the show like a week ago, and we were talking about this, and you said something pretty important about this and how this rhetoric can change. So we're going to show that clip. We're going to go back in time, and then we're going to take a look at a clip from Fox News that should shock you. But anyway, let's get to that clip. But there are lots of stories going on right now. I'd like to hear your take kind of on the 51st state comment by Donald Trump.
Well, I'm curious first, what do you two think about that?
Yeah, my opinion about it is, I don't know. You ever I'll quickly abbreviate, but there's like a old, parable of some guy that good news and bad news kept happening to him, and the townspeople would be like, "Your horse's leg is broken," and he would go, "Well, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad," and they'd go, "You're an idiot. Of course it's bad," and then it would prevent him from some worse outcome, like he couldn't, and then they would be like, "Oh, you're blessed," and he would go, "Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad." I think in the long term, I don't know. I don't know if it's good or bad if Canada becomes part of the States. I don't know. But rather than that, I said a while back, I could see something like this happening. I could see the States getting sort of desperate and start toying with that idea. I said this a while ago. Yeah. I said I could see Trump being like, almost like you've known a person like this in your life that's like, why don't we just work together? Why don't we just become one thing, And then next thing you know, it's like, look, we're trying to be nice here. You guys aren't being a thing. Either, you are not being fair. You're not trading with us fairly. And that's like a sign of, I'm going to take that as aggression. We're going to take you over if you don't do it. Like it starts off nice requesting and then things get ugly, with brutish mentality. I could see maybe that's probably a cartoonish version of it. Probably be more sophisticated than that in real life, but I anticipated that something like that might actually be possible. Before it was even in the before it was even talked about, that Trump talking about Canada is the first thing. If you recall, I was like, they're going to try to make Canada part of the States, because we go down to the States, we vacation down there sometimes, and I was like, it's desperate down here in some places. It's like not good, and desperate people do stuff like, let's share some of that. I want some of what you got. We got a lot of oil or whatever it is. Why? I don't know what the resource is, but we got
a lot of oil and a lot of lithium, which is very needed these days. Yeah. Actually, where
very
I live,
desperate
Manitoba,
up there. They need some freedom. Yeah. We're gonna help them out. All right, guys, we are back from that clip. Now, I want everyone out there who's watching this to think really closely about what you just said there. And then watch this next clip that took place yesterday, where the Premier of Ontario, Canada, went on Fox News to talk with Jesse Waters. This is going to blow your mind.
Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, Canada, joins me now. All right, Premier. By the way, I loved your brother. We did an interview. Great guy. Yeah, what's your problem with the United States absorbing Canada?
Well, first of all, Jesse, I love the U.S. I love Americans, and I get it. President-elect Trump is a real estate tycoon. He's made billions, but that property's not for sale. As simple as that. But I have a better idea, Jesse. Why don't we create Fortress Amcan and make sure it's the richest, wealthiest, most prosperous jurisdiction in the two countries anywhere in the world? We have the critical minerals, we have the energy, we have the electricity that America needs. And there's only one place I'd want to sell it to, and that's the U.S.
Well, you could sell it to us, or we could all own it together, and that's a choice we can all make together. You say this isn't for sale, but everything has a price. The $1 Million Man says that. Can you think of this more as a merger instead of an acquisition? Don't think about being taken over. Think about this as a coming together.
Yeah, we can come together on a great trade deal. We're two greatest countries in the world. Do you know what the problem is? I've lived 20 years in the U.S. Matter of fact, I spent a lot of time in Philly, where you did, for 7 years, and in Chicago. There's not one American that I speak to out there, Jesse, that has a problem with Canada. Do you know what the problem is? China's the problem. China is shipping in cheap parts into Mexico, and then Mexico slapping a made in Mexico sticker on, shipping it up through the US and Canada, costing American and Canadian jobs. Like, Mexico has to make a choice, Jesse.
I get
They're
it.
either with Beijing or Washington.
No, I
I'll
get
tell
it.
you-
I get it. You say that Americans don't have a problem with Canadians, and we don't. But it seems like you have a problem with us. Because if I were a citizen of another country and I was a neighbor of the United States, I would consider it a privilege to be taken over by the United States of America. That's what everybody else in the world wants, American citizenship. For some reason, that's repellent to you Canadians. And I find that personally offensive, Premier.
Well, you know something, Jesse? We're proud Canadians, just like there's proud Americans. And if we join together and take on the world with a great trade deal between us, I think that'd be fabulous. No one could stop us.
Well, that's the point, because Trump says we're paying to protect Canada a lot, but Canada's ripping America off on trade. So why don't we just redraw the map to make it fair?
So we're the largest trading partner in the world, 1.3 trillion. So the only area that we have a little upper hand is
Mexico
on
has
the
you beat, but you're a close second. Go ahead.
So we ship down 4.3 million barrels a day down to the U.S. Ontario is the third largest trading partner in the world with $500 billion of two-way trade split down the middle. Jesse, 9 million Americans wake up every single morning to produce products for Ontario alone. I love the Americans, and I look forward to working with the new administration.
All right, so this might just have to be a hostile takeover. Let's move on. I see we are going to agree to disagree. Want to go halvesies on Greenland?
No, we're good. You know, I hope Don Jr. is wearing those winter woolies, keeping warm over there.
All right, very much appreciated you joining Jesse Waters Prime Time. We'll do this again soon. Maybe
Jesse.
next time we'll be brethren. We'll see how it shakes out.
You have a lot of fans in Canada, Jesse. Take care, my friend.
We love the Canadians. Thank you so much.
I'm not gonna lie, I can't believe more people aren't talking about that.
Well,
to me, that is wild.
I mean, context is, as usual, always everything. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Doug Ford was smiling and stuff, right? So
Yeah.
maybe it was sort of supposed to be tongue-in-cheek.
Maybe that's what I'm saying. I was like, is this for real?
Right.
Is it like, because if
I don't
not,
know,
he quoted the $1 Million Man by saying everyone's got a price. So maybe it is WrestleMania down there. I don't know what the hell's going on.
I don't know, because you called me up and you were like, hey, we got to do a video based on this. And I don't really follow politics that much, you know, because of stuff like this. It's unneeded. The day has enough worries of its own. I'm not even in work for the government anymore. You know what I mean? So is that it? Are we talking now about this?
yeah, for sure.
Okay. So there's lots of different possibilities that could be happening here in reality, in terms of what did they call it? Canada,
American or something.
American.
Like that.
Can comes after Amera, if you'll notice. One thing is, it could be what I said, and this is just going to get sort of nasty and gross, and it starts off as a joke, and then it's like, no, like, for real though, you know,
Yeah.
you guys, what's with you? Why don't you want us to take you over?
Yeah.
Which is psychotic.
And this was followed by Trump even saying that he said he wasn't threatening military force, but he would use economic force to try to, manipulate things.
It's also for ratings, and it's also, how do you say this kindly? You know what I mean? Like, what's the kindest way to say this? I'm not the first to say this. There's been lots of people that have alluded to this over time. The general populace is not the same thing as the people that are, like, the general populace is IQ, their cognitive ability, whatever. It's the median of it is lower than people that are a smaller percent that tend to control things.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, there's certain things that means. It means, to some degree, as hard as it is to swallow, like, you're being manipulated, you're being corralled.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean your life doesn't have value. And I fall into that we all fall into that demographic as citizens to some degree. You know what I mean? Like, if we're part of the general populace and mingling around in the farm pen that is every single country on the planet. If we're part of that, then we're not in the know of higher things, and we're being controlled, manipulated, and we're kind of at the whims of greater forces. That's just, not me. I'm the master of my domain. No, you're being controlled, and you're not free as you think you are. Anyway, there's that. And then there's the side of it, like, so that being considered, like, this is for ratings. This type of dialogue might appeal to people, and they might be like, yeah. So I'm surprised at how ignorant people are sometimes. Like, you'll go to present a sophisticated argument, and they're like baffled by it, but they are swayed and intrigued and moved by like schoolyard nonsense, like childish stuff, which go back to the first thing I just illustrated. If you're like getting resentful and angry at Justin for pointing this out, well, then don't vote that. Don't behave that way. Get more intelligence and get the wisdom. Otherwise, you're going to be your life and your children's life and your children's children's life, and all manipulated until you start telling the truth and gain some wisdom and knowledge and self-control. Yeah. Anyway, so there's that. And then there's the side of it where it's like, it really is like they show the map of America at one thing, and they're talking about spreading out. And I wonder if this is just how it goes. This is just how a planet becomes one country, one world government. Yeah. One world government's been talked about time in memoriam since biblical times. One world government. Yeah. It's also a sign of the end times, right? It's a lot of different things. But I happen to think if it's not hostile and it's good and it's done well, it is the direction things probably one day will be. Yeah. Is a one world government.
I like the idea of unity and peaceful, transfers of power and people agreeing on things and coming together. But the rhetoric, the way that this was said, it's funny because I showed someone else this, and at first they kind of giggled a bit at it, and then they were triggered by it. And, even I was like, wow, that's if you're serious about that, just the idea of when he was talking about how it was almost how dare you not want to be a part of my thing, living next to, I consider myself the greatest, and how dare you not be a part? And if you're not going to be a part, I'll just take you over. Right. I'm like, we're there. We're
and but the problem is there's plenty of people, make no mistake, that would lie to your face, feel like that in their heart, and are sick of this world. These soft men, they have this rhetoric rolling around in their head. And so when you're smart and you're clever, you got to just find your way out. But this is my advice. It has been, and it will continue to be. Be honest unto the end, because that'll be your only safety in the changing, demonic, self-deceiving, self-eating, self-destroying world that happens around you, that goes up and down, and people get enlightened, and people get sick of bad times, and so they aim for good times. But if you maintain honesty through all this, what do you got to lose? Even if you lie to stay in the game, you're living in a living hell. If you're being honest, and they can't kick you off the planet other than the one way. But who wants to spawn into a friggin' hell realm full of brutes and a-holes? I believe in humanity. I believe that we are destined for the stars, and I believe that we are destined to evolve. But it's going to take an unwavering courage of us. If you're getting nervous by all this stuff, make yourself resolute, and I will be honest no matter what. Yeah. I will be as honest as I can, and I will try to even about my faults, even about the degree to which I care or don't care about things, or the degree to which I have compassion or not compassion. Don't be swayed by the shallow, superficial crap that goes on around. Be true. Yeah. And that'll kind of carve a path for you forward. That's what I would say about it. Yeah. And this could all be, maybe we're being too dramatic about all of it. It might have been a friggin' joke for all I know. I'm if that was serious, then that's crazy. That's crazy. If that was a real thing, and that guy was saying I'm offended, you don't want to be part of America. Yeah. Then I don't know, man, it might be time to head for the hills. It might be time to start looking around at everyone you work with, everyone you know that exhibits that behavior, and go, I'm done with this. I'm done. I'll find the few intelligent people there are. I'll surround myself with them, and we'll start planning our way out. Yeah. Screw this sinking ship. Because if the states have gotten themselves into trouble where they've gotten so desperate, where they're not what are some of the affluent countries that are like cloistered off and just seem to do well? Like
Sweden, yeah,
whatever.
sure.
I don't know much about it.
I don't...
If America hasn't done that, and they're resorting to, they haven't done well with they haven't been a good steward of their land. They've pissed off the entire planet. And if they are actually getting desperate and like by any means necessary type mentality, if that's the case, then it's showing that it's not going to bleed out in a good way. It won't be like good that spread to this area.
Yeah.
Only people, if you find somebody that goes, I can't wait for it, depart from that person. You know what I mean? Or like clever, like I don't know what the answer is. Some people, there are spiritual leaders that say like, well, some lying's good. Maybe there's people smarter than me that seem to think that like, well, just be clever about it and you make sure you're in control so that they don't have too much power. I don't know what it is. My answer is be honest. And if it becomes a witch trial for honesty, like you're too good, what's with you? Grab a gun and murder someone to take over the thing next to you. Then sayonara, see you later, goodbye, bon voyage. I'll reincarnate later. You know what I mean? But I'm not doing it. I'm not participating in this nonsense. Yeah. Americana world, just start planning your escape. Just like you plan to escape from a shit job, or you plan to escape from any kind of situation that sucks. You got to wake up and you don't kill yourself about it. You don't rack your brain like crazy, but you took a serious, honest look in the mirror and behave accordingly and plan your future.
And who knows, like it might just open up for good conversation. The idea of, like you said, of coming together, maybe through all the nonsense and all the bruteness of trying to like take over, maybe, some intelligent people get together and be like, maybe we can make this all work out for everyone, man.
Open up to good conversation, only if you're surrounded by people that operate in good faith. Yeah. Once you've started on the path of truth, it's very hard to go back. It's like you look at the way people communicate and the way that they jockey for, all this everything but the truth, social jockeying around and status jockeying in society. It's you might be hard pressed to find good conversation, or you might not. You might have some people around you with enlightened views. But if you find yourself surrounded by nonsense, really low-minded, stupid, triggered people, outbursts, what's one thing? Can't beat them, join them. Like a lot of people defect. A lot of people, there could be a whole bunch of people that are like so scared that they're like, well, the winning team's always the right team. Isn't that always the case? Isn't the bad guy's always just the one that's losing at the time?
Well, no, not for real. That's just what sometimes people say.
Right. But people have this tendency to think if something appears like they're winning, they start to bandwagon or something. Be brave. Don't go out like that. Stand up for yourself. And, and I don't know all the facts. Like I said, if our government was like, look, we don't want this to be crazy and this will actually be mutually beneficial. Yeah. I'm not against countries amalgamating. Like in general, the concept of it, I'm not against.
Yeah.
But that interview was bonkers. If that's the sentiment, like it's like this, like that's just how it's done. Calm down, Nancy. People talk like that and we mess with each other. I'm not having any part of it. I'll be off somewhere else blowing minds in some other capacity. But that is bullshit and nonsense and stupid and immature and something that that's how you want your children to behave? Yeah. Like weird bullying tactics? Go find people that are smarter than that.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, anyway, I saw as soon as I saw that clip, I was reminded of what you said when we were talking with Jasmine there. So I thought it'd be a good video kind of to react to and talk about. So
one more thing.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I'm concerned that somebody will get like upset, feel like I'm dehumanizing cruel people. Like, just think about it for a second. Like, well, hang on, they're people too. You can't just cut and run from things.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like don't stand. If your thing is to stand up for what's right, I'm not dissuading that. And if it's like, look, man, that guy that's threatening to take us over violently, he's a human too. What are we even doing if that's the sentiment? Like, if you're gonna have compassion for the Stockholm syndrome, like, we gotta love these people that just took us over. I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I feel like I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's interesting times, guys. Interesting times. We want to know what you have to say in the comments. please leave a comment there. If you liked our reaction here, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share this with a friend, and everyone until next time, stay spiritual.